It's not the fault of the secondary that the Steelers' secondary or their pass defense ranks 31st out of 32 teams in the National Football League. 31 out of 32. It is the fault instead of the run defense, or so we have now been told, first by Mike Tomlin on Tuesday, today by Teryl Austin. This is what Austin had to say on the subject this afternoon over on the South Side.
TA, what in your mind, just evaluating not just the Bengals game, but just over the course of the season, what do you guys have to do to become more consistent so that you guys aren't allowing a whole bunch of yards and then also it seems like it's feast or famine sometimes.
I got a simple answer for you. We have to stop the run. When you allow teams to run, then it opens up all kinds of things. It opens up play action pass. It opens up or it shrinks your menu because what you do now is you're doing things to make sure you have to bring possibly extra guys down to try to stop the run. So the bottom line is we got to be able to stop the run, and then I think that opens up and allows us to play well.
No. Thanks for watching, everybody. That's my rebuttal. That's all I've got for you today. No. In fact, in covering this game, one of the things that stood out to me was that the Bengals really didn't start running until after they had started passing. There's, the statistics and video to support this. You don't have to just, woof it off the top of your head. It's not even a word. Don't use that. This was just bad. They couldn't cover anybody. They couldn't come close to picking up on the hilarious succession of slants that Cincinnati was running at them. It was down after down after down after down. The targets varied a little bit, but 23 of them still went to one player. This is the problem. This isn't a problem that's created somewhere else. This isn't a problem that originates at the line of scrimmage. There are occasions on which that is the case. That's actually pretty common in football. This happens not to be one of them. So the question that I have as an observer of the team isn't the what. It isn't even the how. We saw the how. It's why. Why are they reacting like this? Why are they doing this? Why are they being so protective of this secondary? This is really, really bad. It's so much worse than what actually happened, because it's telling you right now that they're going into this game thinking that they just got to stop Josh Jacobs. Or they've convinced themselves of that. Maybe they don't even actually think that. They just can't handle anything negative about their precious coverage people concept. This is the exact opposite. Please let me say this. And I don't mean to start doing this Arthur Smith versus everybody else thing, but this is the exact opposite of what's been happening on the offensive side, where week after week you're seeing progress. You're seeing all facets get at least a little bit better, not exponentially better, but a little bit better. And you're seeing changes made, adjustments made, surprises that hit us every time they take the field. Oh, didn't see that coming. Look at that. Look who they targeted there. Look how open they were. Look at why they were open. The offensive side of the football is being very well coached. The defensive side is not. And when we come back, I'll be joined by Chris Halleck over on the South Side.
For those of you who are doing real work in construction, in a warehouse, if you're a mechanic, you want reliable, comfortable gear to help you perform well on the job. Brunt Workwear's got you. They've got waterproof boots, safety toe, soft toe, pull-on, lace-up, whatever you need. You can wear them to work, and if they're not right for you, send them back. I don't know of any other brand doing that. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off. Just head to bruntworkwear.com. Use the code DK Sports and you're good to go. After you order, they'll ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor here at DK Pittsburgh Sports and tell them it was from this show.
Joined now by Chris Halleck over on the South Side. A happy Coordinator Thursday to you, my friend.
Yeah, it's always a good day.
It always is. It's always a good time also to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you think the Steelers are going to take care of Green Bay and make people like me look really stupid. Now, I haven't made a forecast here, but I am feeling this Cincinnati funk, okay? That's all I've got to say here. It's going to take something to pull, I think, everybody out of that rut to a certain extent. Lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, the FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials so that you can join in on all of the action. Teryl Austin certainly wouldn't have surprised anybody today any more than he surprised anybody in Cincinnati with anything that he said, because his head coach had already laid out the general thinking. And that's not to say that he's walking in there and parroting the head coach's thing. It's saying that they spent the week together. You know, they watched the film together. They broke it down, and they would have reached the same conclusion. I'm sure one of them is more influential than the other. However, what is the logic in this? We're not talking about, 2 weeks from now, how Jonathan Taylor can lead the Colts throwing the ball successfully. Not that the Colts can't throw the ball anyway. I'm talking about, how do you look at Chase Brown, who didn't really even get going at all until the second quarter, and even then it was modest? How do you say that these problems, these passing game problems, which by the way are pretty much season long, are originating in giving up the run? How do you justify that, Chris? Not you.
Well, it's really, really interesting, because I wrote about this on our app today. It's already up there, and so if you have a chance to multitask, I think Matthew did yesterday, you can read it and watch the show at the same time if you have our app. So they are a Chris Boswell 60-yard field goal away from being 3-0 when they stop the run and 0-3 when they don't. It's just the truth.
That's it.
I looked at the numbers. You break down the data from when in games in which they stop the run versus games in which they don't stop the run. They're 3-0 when they stop the run, unequivocally.
This isn't fixing the pass defense. This isn't fixing the pass defense at all. This is day of the week stuff.
I'm not done yet.
Go ahead.
In those games in which they've stopped the run, they ranked in that same stretch. They ranked 7th in dropback EPA, which is expected points added, which is overall efficiency when it comes to how well you perform on a consistent basis. So how they perform against the pass absolutely is affected by how well they stop the run. Whether it makes sense to us or not, the data is the data. And as soon as Teryl Austin started talking about it today, and he reinforces what Mike Tomlin said, I went on like, all right, I'm going to see if the data actually backs this up or not. Because if it does, then I can use the quotes and then reinforce it. If it doesn't, then I can say, here's what they said, and here's the data that says otherwise. And it's hard to argue that whenever they've played the Jets, Seahawks, and Bengals, and they could not stop a nosebleed out of that backfield worth anything, and they nearly lost, like I said, a Chris Boswell 60-yard field goal away from being 0-3 in those games. versus the 3 games in which they did stop the run, the defense's overall performance was significantly better. So there is a parallel here.
The data is the data. That can't be argued. A parallel track can be a parallel track. But there's a difference between, I'll maintain, correlation and causation. What I'm talking about here is causation. I'm not saying they have such and such record when Darnell Washington catches a pass. That's correlation. That's not Darnell causing the wins. My point is that in Cincinnati, there's nothing about what Chase Brown did that caused the secondary to give up a gazillion yards. There's nothing about in that game, in that setting, that caused them to give up all those yards. There's nothing about giving up rushing yards that has caused the Steelers to be, here we go again, 31st out of 32 teams in the National Football League in allowing passing yards. You can be bad against the run and still be okay on pass defense.
To a certain extent, I'll let you finish.
No, that's my point here is correlation and causation. I have seen when you've been able to stop the pass because you can't stop the run. And that is not what I am currently seeing. I'm seeing things that are on separate planes of existence here. And I'm seeing a coaching staff that just does not want to acknowledge that this idea that they put in their heads back in July that sounded so revolutionary and had the coach crowing about 3 guys and Jalen Ramsey's never coming off the field and they're going to be all over the other team's best guys. They're not going to need to double cover people. No. In Cincinnati, that was blown sky high. And the rushing defense in this context had nothing to do with that.
I disagree to a certain extent because when you stop, it's like what we saw. I've used this game as an example quite a bit. When the Steelers played the Seahawks in 2023, they put the Seahawks in a consistent predicament because the Seahawks wanted to run with 2 high safeties all the time because they were afraid of Mason Rudolph hitting George Pickens on the deep ball. So what the Steelers did was they jammed the ball down their throat with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren.
They did.
Forcing the Seahawks to bring an extra guy into the box. And where does that extra guy come from?
The backfield,
You bring a safety down, and now you've only got 3 deep instead of 4 deep. And then that's when the offense can take its shots. So the Steelers wanted to 2 high shell the crap out of the Bengals. They didn't want to have the Bengals beat them deep. So you have the challenge then of stopping the run with only 7 guys in the box. And if you do it, then this is what we were talking about when it comes to the way defenses are playing the Steelers offense. This is what the Steelers defense wanted to do, and they failed at it. And so in that regard, you then have to bring extra guy down to support the run. Then you're more exposed on the back end. So run defense, failure in run defense can affect the coverage. Now, I still think, and as I laid out, because I don't want anything that I'm saying to make anybody think that I'm just carrying water for Teryl Austin and Mike Tomlin or anything. I did an entire chalk talk on the secondary's issues. There are issues there that are separate from the run defense. We're talking overall schematics. We're talking not having answers to whenever an offensive coach is thinking one step ahead of you. There are details within the concepts or within the coaching that's not where it needs to be in today's NFL. There are other issues in the secondary that need to be fixed, but I don't think it's an accident that when the Steelers stop the run, they win, and when they don't stop the run, they either need an outstanding performance from the offense and or Chris Boswell to save them with a 60-yard field goal.
And then we also have to align all of this with Tomlin himself saying, fresh, right off the field in Cincinnati, that he felt that part of the reason that everything got discombobulated was that there were a couple of plays that were broken, and then everything got thrown out of whack. These aren't
That can't
children.
happen. That can't happen.
I understand that, but these aren't children in this secondary. These aren't guys who looked around and went, "Woo, NFL Stadium." I mean, that's not who they are. Look at the names. Even Joey Porter's been around long enough not to experience that. I'm telling you, I'd like to think I give the guy, specifically the head coach, credit. Whenever he comes up with something and commits to it and is accountable and does adjusting, and I did that extensively from Dublin, Ireland. I did it again after Cleveland. These weren't just because of the favorable outcomes either. I thought there was some good coaching done, good defensive coaching, good head coaching done in those games. This isn't it. It's almost like we watched the defense regress, and then almost instantly we saw the coach himself lapse back into old habits. This is Paulie says here they're just fresh off the coverage person bus. I don't even know what that means. It sounds really snarly, Paulie. That's what I have to say here. And Charles says here, just tackle. Failed attempts to strip the ball result in extra yardage. I didn't see too much of that. I saw some of it. I know what you're talking about.
So part of the data, and again, I'm not going to give you the actual numbers on here because I want you to go read it on the app. But part of the breakdown of when they haven't stopped the run versus when they've stopped the run, I had both yards before contact per attempt and yards after contact per attempt. It's night and day. It's amazing how many yards, when they're not stopping the run, how many yards running backs are averaging before they even get touched. It's insane. Like, as opposed to when they stop the run, it's like almost an entire yard difference. Like, it's winning up front. It's guys getting off blocks on the second level and filling gaps. It's a number of different things. It's night and day. So, and yards after contact is not too pretty either, but the yards before contact was the most striking thing because it's
I, for one, am not falling for any of this. I am not heeding their whatever you want to call it here. It's not a directive or something, but it's what they want everybody to think that this is about to run. Listen, let's fix the secondary. Let's start with that. We identified things that happened in that Cincinnati game that had nothing to do with anything at the line of scrimmage. I see some people bringing up pressure. Okay, Flacco was getting rid of the ball as soon as he got it. And that's what slants are, CJ. You're not waiting for somebody to do, the orbit around the sun before they get to open to you for you on the slant. You're just going snap, one step, boing, there they go. Steelers had no answer for it. No answer for it. That had nothing to do with stopping the run. Lyle says, why play center field and leave a big hole in the middle? That's not really center field in the NFL. The center field is more of a, oh, God, it's the end of the world. We'd better tackle that guy before it's 6 kind of position. But there is something missing in the middle of that field. There's a player, there's a role, there's a scarecrow. There's something that's missing in the middle of that field. What is it, Chris? What is it? Because it's got nothing to do with the running back. It's got nothing to do with the defensive line. What's missing? How is it that they can't or won't adjust to stopping those slants?
Well, one of the things is there's something called a hole defender that you can use. Usually when you're in cover one, and when I've seen the way the Steelers are in cover one, which is one deep safety, and then it's man coverage underneath, and then everybody else is usually rushing. Well, you don't have to have everybody else rushing. You can actually have one guy drop back and be what's called a hole defender. It's usually a linebacker to just pretty much drop back, 5 to 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, and you're literally taking away the middle of the field. You can also run something called cover one robber, which is when you have 2 high safeties. You're showing the offense it's too high. You're thinking, okay, they're thinking it's cover 2, cover 4, something like that. and then one safety literally goes down and robs the middle of the field after the snap, and they take away that middle. So and the Steelers do that every now and then. They just don't do it very often. So those are some answers there. But when the Steelers are usually trying to take away the middle of the field, they are doing it either in cover 3, which means your deep middle safety is way far back, covering a deep third, or they're in Tampa 2, which means the middle linebacker, the Mike linebacker, is going really, really far back, not as far back as that deep safety, but going a lot further back to play like a pseudo cover 3. Tampa 2 has been around for obviously almost 3 decades now, but that's usually the way that they try to do it, and you can get hit underneath whenever you play that way.
And here's another point that comes up from Leroy says, do we jam receivers enough? Joey Porter can really disrupt a route with a good push at the start of a play with his long arms. Jalen Ramsey's obviously made a living off it. Darius Slay has made a living off of it. And I think this was one of, or at least one part of the vision of the coverage people thing, was that you were just going to have 3 guys that were just going to go to war with whoever it was that they were lined up against. It was, we're not messing around. Here you go. You're going to have to face this guy, and you're going to have to face this guy. And it didn't come close to materializing. And that's not a Cincinnati thing. And that's why I keep saying it's not a running back thing, because this has been true pretty much throughout, with the exception of when you faced somebody like a Dylan Gabriel, who was going to be overwhelmed, if only because he wasn't going to be able to get rid of the ball that quickly. Rookie pass rush was effective. That was the end for him. But otherwise, Chris, we've talked a lot about what's coming up on this schedule and the quarterbacks that they have to face, the offenses that they have to face. And they don't look anything like this. They don't look anything like what we've seen for the most part in the early part of the schedule. That's not taking credit away even the tiniest bit from Cincinnati's 2 brilliant wide receivers and the way Joe Flacco conducted them the other night. But this is different.
Yeah, well, when it comes to jamming receivers, smart offensive coaches will do things to take that away. And I lined this out in a Chalk Talk this past week. There were times where the Steelers wanted to jam and press, but smartly, like Zach Taylor will use a trips formation and have that receiver that's being jammed on the far. He's the number 1 on that side of the formation. And he has it set up where that number 1 is lined up off the ball, because you can only have so many eligibles up on the line of scrimmage. The rest of them have to be off. And so he had Jamar Chase off. So you can't jam him because he's too far away. You can only get so close. You can't get past the line of scrimmage. And can't be in the neutral zone. So you can only get so close. So you can't jam him. And then he would then use the second and third eligibles on that side who were inside of Chase to run routes in Joey's direction to legally pick him or rub him, so that Joey could not literally have a chance to put his hands on Chase before he gets separation. So there are ways for offenses to thwart press coverage where it's not just as simple as, hey, just go get in his face and cover him and jam him at the line. It's not that simple. There's offensive ways to take that away. So you have to find different ways to take away receivers other than just, hey, go play press man all day long. It's not that simple.
This came up today in the Austin press conference. Jorge Rico says, greetings from Mexico. The only thing I can say, my favorite subject of the week, is that Nick Herbig's not getting enough snaps. 2 weeks he was in the formula and then nothing. What came up about that today, Chris?
So that came up again, and it's pretty much saying that when they weren't in obvious pass down situations, which is kind of what I was saying, they preferred to have TJ and Alex on the field as their 2 main edge rushers, which I understand. When you look at who the best edge rushers are on this team, the 2 best, it is TJ and Alex. Nick has really gotten better in run defense, no doubt about it. But is he better than Alex Highsmith right now in terms of just stopping the run? No, he's not. Alex Highsmith is and has been a superior run defender from the edge. Herbig is better as a pass rusher. I'm fine with that. Not as a run defender. He's just not. He's gotten better for sure. He's not being pushed around the way he was even last year. But Alex is a phenomenal run defending edge rusher. But the issues go beyond who your edge rushers are. Now, you could still disagree with keeping Nick on the sideline for as much as they did. And in situations in which they were in 3rd and long, Nick wasn't on the field nearly enough. He needed to be on the field more often. So there were situations that they didn't mention, or that when I'm talking about I'm talking about either Mike Tomlin in his press conference or Teryl Austin in his press conference, that they didn't, it just doesn't align. And that's just that's one thing where they say one thing, but then you look at the data and it's something different. So they needed to have him on the field more often. There's no excuse for it.
Yeah, I think that here again, we're talking about stopping the run versus stopping the pass. And, you go by, I want to call this the Bill Belichick thought process, except that Belichick didn't think of this. The idea, a lot of coaches have done this where they're just going to waltz into a game and say, I'm taking away your best weapon. If you're going to beat me, you're going to beat me with this guy. You're not going to beat me with Mr. Superstar over there. You're not going to do that. So here you have the Steelers facing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and being worried about Chase Brown. Stop the pass. Stop the pass. Unless you think you can't. Unless you think you can't. And which would be really treacherous territory if that were true. I don't mean to keep pounding the same issue here. This team's not going to get anywhere if they can't stop the pass. When they get to Indianapolis, all right, first off, stop the run. Okay. Against the Colts, you guys stop the run. When you get to playing the Chargers, you got the NFL's leading passer. They're not the ones getting ahead. I am here. That's still a couple of weeks away, LA. You got the number one passer in football throwing edge. You're not going to – you've got to find a way to address the ailing elephant in the room. And that's what this is right now. They're not getting the kind of coverage that they need. They're not getting the pass rush that they need. I'm with Chris on this, man. You can't have Nick Herbig, a weapon like that, standing on your sideline, because even if you say, well, I don't want Nick Herbig to play out there over Highsmith because Highsmith is better against the run than Herbig is, which is obviously true, then you put him out there as a third OLB. You get crafty. You utilize him in different ways. You send him in on blitzes through the middle, because if you're not getting much out of your other inside linebacker, if they're not covering, if they're not tackling, you might as well get some kind of dynamic pass rush going. But you got to think a little bit. You got to have some kind of creativity to it. Frank Ray says that they're giving up too many 3rd and long plays. That's just because they're giving up too much, Frank. I think that's just – we could try to narrow this stuff down to situational or whatever. They're just giving up too much. They're giving up too many yards. They're just not good defensively. So there. Why are we even watching this season? Nat points out – I did a column today that was called 10 Reasons to Smile About the Steelers. I had a really hard time with this thing because I'm like, let's just see what we can come up with, Chris, because here's something happy and positive. And Nat says that I could come back in the afternoon and crush our hopes and dreams. It's a difficult situation right now. That's why I think they need to come up with real answers. And sometimes to come up with real answers, you need to peel the scabs. Not just let them, become thicker or whatever.
There's another thing that I want to go to when it comes to stopping the run versus stopping the pass. Against the Bengals, first 2 series, the Bengals threw the ball 10 out of 13 times. They were trying to throw all the time.
Yep.
Bengals punted on both of those drives.
They did.
And they ran, and the 3 times they ran the ball, they gained 11 yards. Third possession, first play, Chase Brown pops that 27-yard run.
That's correct.
and then they go down and score a touchdown. It's like the causation there is the run game opened up. Now, credit to Zach Taylor for finding a way to hit the Steelers defense where they were weakest in terms of what he was seeing and how they were defending the run, and then using it as a changeup to open things up.
And the Steelers players themselves acknowledged that they had not expected Cincinnati to run significantly. So it's clear that play and caught them off guard.
Yeah. And the problem there is, and Cam Hayward talked about this today, and we talked about it. We've talked about this, even over the course of the week. When things started spiraling out of control, they started pressing, they started trying to do too much, and things got out of whack. And it was just, at that point, you're trying too hard to get something done. And that's whenever you just have to stay within yourself. And the things, it's like, if I feel like if I have a deadline here and I, have like 3,000 words to write and I wait until an hour before the deadline, I can try to type as fast as I possibly can, but it doesn't matter. Trying harder doesn't make it happen, but doing things to stay within yourself and stay within your own limitations and what you can do. Yeah, you got to find a way to do that and not allow a situation to spiral out of control, which is exactly what they did. So I don't want to say that this is the state of the defense right now. I felt like they just had a really, really bad game. But we've seen what this defense looks like when they stop the run, and we've seen what it looks like when they don't stop the run. And I'm curious to see if that continues. If they stop, what's his name? Josh Jacobs from yeah. If they stop him from running, if they don't allow him to be an impact in this game, do the Steelers win this game? Like I feel like they have a much better chance to win it if Josh Jacobs is not an impact. It doesn't have an impact on this game than if they allow him to have a 100-yard game.
We'll agree on that for sure. This, as Chris just hinted at here, was what Cam Hayward had to say today.
Just we're seeing too much. I think just got to be accountable on our gaps. Sometimes we want to make the play so bad that sometimes we get out of our gaps and it makes the defense susceptible. Our tackling's got to be a lot better. But hopefully we can learn from it. Good teach tape and move on.
Cam, that being said, you have a lot of veterans in that group.
Mm-hmm.
Why has there been inconsistency with so many guys that have been around?
Any guy wants to make a play. Sometimes you got to temper that. Just buy in. This defense is always made about just 11 doing their jobs, and we just got to get back to that. It's not, old guy versus young guy. It's, just everybody's got to buy in.
Cam has never not used the word gaps after a loss. You ever pick up on that?
And he always puts this in the perspective of all 11 doing their jobs. It's always that way.
Get off your blocks. Get off your blocks. Stay in your gaps. Stay in your gaps. Dash. Cameron Hayward.
Yeah.
That's what he does after losses, because that's the prism from which he observes the games. Oh. And that's what he sees up front, and he sees it with a clarity none of us can even come close to understanding. So much respect to that perspective, because he knows, he lives it. He lives it through wins. He lives it through losses. He knows what it looks like when it's successful, and he knows what it looks like when it was Cincinnati.
By the way, really quick, while that video was playing, Jose Negron, our Pirates reporter, sent me a screenshot of his phone, and he said challenge accepted, and he was literally watching the show on the very top of his screen while reading my article on the app at the same time. So yes, it can be done, guys. I promise.
Jose needs baseball, something fierce. He and I were covering the Penguins game on Tuesday night, the game they beat Vancouver 5-1. We're sitting next to each other, and Jose's typing furiously on our live file for the app. This is the most scoring updates I've had to do in forever. It's like, man, baseball jokes, they're so easy.
How many times did the Pirates score 5 runs this season?
It couldn't have been more than a handful, at least from the feel of it. But yeah, I mean, that was like a blitzkrieg compared to the stuff that he's used to seeing. That's, Jonathan says, are we getting to the point where the offense may have to carry the defense? No. In fact, if we're getting to anywhere near the realm where you're discussing this, and I know what you're thinking, Jonathan, because we go back with this about 8 or 9 years now to when Ben and AB and Lev all strutted into Foxborough for the AFC Championship game, knowing that they had to put up about 45 points to beat the Bradys. It's just this offense, respectfully, they're getting better. They're not that. Okay. Those guys could have a bad day and put up 30. These guys are getting to 30 and they're getting all the attaboys, and that's okay. That's okay. They're getting better, but no, that this defense can't be. Again, this is one of the scary things today about this whole theme that we have, is that the defense is ranked very low, and this defense has to get a lot better in now what's just a little bit more than half a season. And they have to do so against teams that are going to continue exposing things. Now, yes, as you just heard from Cam's own mouth, teach tape comes from it. You can learn. You can, if you see, wow, the Bengals did this, so we put this on tape. Everybody's going to run slants on the Steelers. I mean, it's going to be a month straight of this. Even if it doesn't work, they're going to go, yeah, but we saw what the Bengals did at Paycor Stadium, and we are doing that all day. They're going to face it until they show that they can stop it. Another baseball parallel here, if you can't hit the changeup, they're not wasting their time throwing you fastballs and sliders. Okay? You're going to see changeups until you go sit down again. And this team's going to face a ton of that. And that's why I guess that's why a lot of this stuff is rubbing me the wrong way, Chris. They got to hit the changeup, and their changeup right now is being 31st in the league in pass defense.
Yeah, I understand. And listen, it's not like there are not issues in coverage. There are. They're apparent. They're on the film. I mean, you can see them. They're tangible. But they're real. When I saw the stark difference between literally, and that 3-game stretch, they were literally the most efficient rush defense in the league. And in that same stretch, they were the 7th most efficient pass defense in the league. And that is including stopping like actual completions, getting after the quarterback, taking the ball away, all that stuff. Because it's all encompassing, and
everything adds up, Chris. It just does. You look at this. Yeah. You look at this point here. Averaging 70 snaps per game doesn't help anyone on defense either. That's one of those things that, from the offensive perspective, even in the couple of games beforehand, the offense was scoring. The offense wasn't necessarily taking a ton of time to score. You haven't seen really long, deliberate 15, 17 play drives out of the offense. They're hitting on them. There's been some big plays along the way. That's great. You'll take the points every time. Always. Okay? 100% of the time, you'll take the points. Except for T. Higgins. He'll slide at the 5.
By the way, everybody, I even saw somebody mention it yesterday. Don't suggest that Pat Freiermuth should have slid.
No.
Oh my gosh! Stop!
No.
Stop it!
2.5 minutes, right?
Yeah, 2.5 minutes, and you're down by 6. You're not.
Yeah.
You're guaranteed a touchdown on that play. You're not
kicking a field goal. Yeah.
No, and you're not guaranteed a touchdown on any play after that. You can
not
slide
even
the
close.
1. You could slide at the 1-yard line. It does not matter. You're not guaranteed a touchdown. You're just not. And the Bengals situation was completely different because they only needed a field goal to win. They were down by 1. And at that point, it is milk as much of the clock as you possibly can before you kick the field goal. The Steelers just needed to get a touchdown to get ahead. Sure, you'd love for it to be able to come off of this nice long drive in which you make the Bengals take all their timeouts and you get on the other side of the 2-minute warning. And yeah, you love that. But God, you cannot just say no to a guaranteed touchdown. You just can't.
No chance. There's nothing to discuss, much less debate on that front. No chance whatsoever. I mean, I'm sitting up there with Chris in the press box. I wasn't crazy about Higgins' decision. Now, everybody else is saying it's genius and whatever else here.
Oh, it is.
Win the game. Win the game. Get in
but then
there.
you give the ball right back to the Steelers, and what if they go down and score? Don't let them have that opportunity.
What if? I like seeing points put on the board. And, tell the defense after you put the points on the board, hey, stop them. I'll be right here if you need anything else. Go out there and stop them.
I
and
think
the Bengals didn't exactly get away with it. The Steelers came within another additional 5 or 6 yards on that completion there of getting into a reasonable Chris Boswell range.
The outskirts of that range, but still something that
Very
is actually
outskirts, yeah.
Something where you're like, you know what? He might actually be able to make this if he just drills it. Like, you give him 10 opportunities, kick a 68-yard field goal, I think he'll make at least one of them. like that's kind of a situation where your chances of actually winning at that point are probably higher than a Hail Mary.
Yeah, there's just too many things that can still go wrong too.
Yeah.
I understand it's a chip shot, but we see chip shots get missed in the NFL.
We do.
We see Chris Boswell every once in a blue moon, best kicker in the league, or certainly one of the top 3. He'll miss him,
or gets blocked, or he slips on the terrible field at Acrisure Stadium, or something.
Who knows? Yeah. Something can happen. It's that one is at least worth a conversation. I just don't. I mean, the Freiermuth one. No, there's nothing there.
Never,
We're gonna take one more today. It comes from JCL, who asks the obligatory Will Howard update question. Fill in your own blanks. What you got, Chris?
Well, I sent it shortly before the show started. Did we get the video loaded in? If we do, then Will Howard.
I don't think so. Let me check here. If we have, we do not have Will Howard loaded. No.
Okay. So but the video is on our app. So go check it out there. He was beaming being back at practice. I mean, I had a couple of different conversations with him over his time on IR, and complete, just morose and melancholy, and
he took his life away.
Today he was smiling. He was just so happy to be doing actual football activity. And I thought it was actually really cool, because I asked him about what the value is of playing on scout team, and he talked about getting to face the Steelers' #1 defense all the time and how that's really going to challenge him. Because from his perspective, yes, he's this week, he is Jordan Love. That's his job in practice, is to emulate Jordan Love and run what they believe the Packers are going to be bringing. But that still requires you to try to make real NFL throws and to execute NFL plays. And so he talked about that, and he was really, really happy to be back. So he is back. He's practicing. No limitations. I know people are excited about that, but listen, I think Aaron Rodgers is playing pretty good right now. So if everything goes well, you don't want Will Howard seeing the field at all this season.
Oh no, for a whole bunch of reasons. Yeah, that's not a shot at him in any shape or form, but he needs to get as much experience as he can while he's under the roof. That benefits everybody, not just him, but the Steelers, because it adds to their knowledge base for him. That's good stuff here. Jerry Yeager acknowledges that he did, in fact, see the video on our app. You can too, by going and downloading the DK Pittsburgh Sports app into your Apple or Android device. After you do that, email me. I'm a little bit behind on those, but I promise I'm going to get those done in the next hour and a half. Promise. Meaning I didn't get to any of them yesterday. They're waiting on me, and I'm ready to attack them. So send me your emails today, asking. You don't have to get elaborate. I got another one yesterday, Chris. It just said app.
App.
Like, and it wasn't even in the text. It was like he didn't even bother with that. He just put it right in the subject line. Just said app. And he's going to get the discount all the same. You can do that. You can put hit me up, whatever it is that you want. Send it to DK at DKPittsburghSports.com. I'll get back to you really close to immediately with a discount for the premium level of this app that you won't be able to say no to. You'll be able to get in there and read all the stuff that Chris had today that he has every day, all of our Steelers coverage. As mentioned, I have a Steelers column on the site myself, 10 reasons to make you smile, in case this cheery episode didn't do that for you. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. Just come on in there. And for the rest of us, tomorrow is Friday and last day of Packers preparation. And it's a challenge, Chris. These next 3 weeks are a challenge, are they not?
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, we were talking about this heading
in. Cincinnati's at the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this, before the season started, that the first 6 games, not necessarily easy, but games in which you should be at least above 500. And the Steelers are. They're 4-2. But the schedule takes a turn now. I mean, you got the Packers at home. You got the Colts, which we didn't think at this point was going to be this big of a game. That's a huge game now. The Colts have the best record in the NFL, and they look phenomenal. Daniel Jones looks great. Tyler Warren looks like an absolute superstar. The Colts team is dangerous. The Chargers are not going to be easy on the road on Sunday night. The Bengals at home, that's not easy either, as we just saw the way the Bengals tore apart the Steelers defense. You still got Josh Allen and the Bills coming to town later. You got the Ravens twice, most likely with Lamar Jackson and a lot of healthier guys. You got
isn't it funny the Ravens might be the best team remaining on the schedule, and they're on there twice. Just think about that.
Yeah. No,
I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous looking at the standings, but it might be true.
No, seriously, and that just goes to show. Well, first off, it goes to show how reliant the Ravens are on Lamar Jackson. Number one,
always have been,
and they always have been. I think that the reason why, like, Tyler Huntley got like backdoor Pro Bowl, recognition or honor or whatever, is because he was at least able to provide like a 60 to 70% version of what Lamar Jackson does. Because he's also a really mobile guy. He can make some of the same throws that Lamar can, but Lamar is obviously, he's got a better arm. He's a better quarterback. He's more electric as a runner. It's Lamar. But at least they had a backup who could kind of do the same things that Lamar could do. That's not the case with Cooper Rush. They should have never let Tyler Huntley go. He should have just stayed their backup. But hey, when they get him back and he's already practicing again. He was limited. When they get him back, man, the Ravens their schedule gets a lot lighter now.
It really does. Yeah.
We could see them. They still got some tough games on there. They got the Packers. They've got the Patriots. They got the Steelers twice. So they've got some tough games too, but they've got to go on a run if they have a chance.
There are exactly 2 teams in the National Football League with only 1 loss. And they are the Steelers' next 2 opponents. The Packers, of course, are 4-1-1 with a stupid tie on there. And the Colts are 6-1. And then after that, they've got the Chargers, who are 4-3. But I think the Chargers are probably are better than a floating above 500 kind of football team. I think they have because of that offense, because of that passing game, they have a lot to build on. So.
Well, they're banged up too, and that's a big reason for it.
But I'll also tell you this: the New England Patriots are 5-2, and the Steelers went into their place and beat them. So anything can happen. Anything can happen, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be an upset when it does happen. Guys, we will see you tomorrow for our final episode in advance of Steelers versus Packers on Sunday night. Bye-bye.